Hi, this is Caroline Pointer with ForYourFamilyStory.com, and this is part 2 of how I use Family Tree Maker 2012 software and its task feature, and also a little bit more about my workflow process online and how I integrate the two. In the last video I talked about this being kind of like a video research plan, and it is kind of. There are 3 basic steps to a research plan. 1 is stating what you know and the evidence that you have to support it. Number 2 is stating what you need as far as information and evidence are concerned. And number 3 is where you plan to look to get that info and evidence. And you could even go further as 4 is kind of like a work in process of what you've checked and what you haven't checked and that sort of thing. So the first video was more about 1 and 2. Now we're doing more about 3. Where do we go to find the information that we need? My go-to place is Ancestry.com. I told you FTM. My FTM syncs to my online tree, so of course I have all those leaves. Of course I put their names through here, but we need to go a little further and dig a little further into their collections. And the best way to do that, I have found, especially since in this instance I know the locations roundabout where I need to look. So the first place is Pennsylvania, just an example. When you go in, you see all these collections. Not all of these are searchable by the database, by you just entering in their name and voila, there you have your whole family tree. No. A lot of times you're going to have to be looking in books, digital books, and going page by page, and books that don't have an index. And no, that isn't fun, but how badly do you want the information? You know? So you have to do that. You have to check each place. I don't go down by county. I just stay at the state level and start looking because it's inclusive of this information. The next place I go to is FamilySearch.org. Of course, I look online at their names. That is how I found in the first video how I found the death records in the stuck line, which were very helpful. However, I always go down to the location, and again, just as an example, we'll pull up Pennsylvania's. They have 12 collections. Some are searchable by when you put the name in the little boxes and magic happens. And then browsing images, which is just what it says, browsing images, and you have to go page by page. Again, how badly do you want that information? The other place to look on Family Search is catalog and books. I'm going to skip catalog for right now, and you'll see why in just a minute, but books, very important. I already have it pulled up here. It has books that have been scanned by Family Search or by FHL, and that include the family histories, county and local histories. It tells you everything from these places, including my local genealogical library, Clayton. The next place I go is Montgomery County Memorial Library. That's my very local one, which is about 15 minutes away from my house. I make sure that it's searching the genealogical department, and I put the keywords in here. They also have special collections in microfilm that don't seem to come up on the catalog, so I will, so these are just for stacks search. So a lot of times I'll just run up there because I know that they have a lot of Texas microfilm, so that helps me a whole lot. If it's not here, then I go to Clayton. But before going to Clayton, I'll look online and look at their microprint database. And this is microprint, is their microfilm and microfiche collections. And they are searchable by all these ways. And I usually just do a state or a state and county or a state and record type. So, or all 3. So that's how you look for their microfiche there and microfilm. The other thing that you want to do on Clayton's site, or actually it's the Houston Public Library, which is Clayton is a part of that system. You go into their catalog and again do place name searches. If it's not here or here, then I go to Family Search and go into their catalog and do place name searches for their collections. The reason I do that is because this is free and this is not free. This is cheap. But when you're doing as much information and much research that I'm trying to do this summer in a short period of time, it can add up. So I try to be efficient and budget. The other thing on Clayton's website is they have a databases that if you have a library card that you can access online, or they have some that are only in library use only. So I go through here and I look, might as well look here. Heritage Quest, books, Revolutionary War, which applies to me, so I always look there. Macavo, here's my disclosure. I received as a gift from Macavo a 1-year subscription to their Pro service, and in exchange, well, not in exchange, but it would be nice for me to do a review. So I will now be able to review it properly, because I be doing a lot of personal research. As an example, I put in the progenitor of the stocks, which is he is the proven patriot, and it came back with 1,068 search results, which is a beautiful thing. I'm most excited about the fact that it came up with Genie.com, GenForum, as well as Ancestry surname message boards. That's important because it saves me steps. I don't have to go anywhere else. Genealogybank.com, self-explanatory. You can do by name, do advanced search. So I'll be looking in those as well. Google Books, you can put the name of the person with location. A lot of times that's all I really ever need to do to find something. This is Texas State Archives. It's in Austin, Texas, which is about 3.5 hours away from me. So I'll look elsewhere for these kind of microfilms, but if they don't have it here locally, I can borrow it from the Texas State Archives and I can get it delivered to Clayton. Again, cheaper, because that's free. The other thing I wanted to point out was Geology.com. A lot of times when I want to, I always forget that the East Coast has such small states and has small counties, and that's important when researching. So I definitely use Geology.com to look at the counties. Sometimes I also look at it to look at the rivers, because sometimes I need to know that for research purposes. And so I have those pulled up for each of the states that I need at this time. The other thing is I use Google Maps, so I can get a relationship going, understand an area. And here we've got 2 countries. This is the border between the United States and Canada, and here we have Vermont. And my 4th great grandfather may have been born around here. His in-laws are from here. The family ends up here. And this is where their birth records are in this parish. So I need to, and their residences as listed in their birth records are here. So that's important to me to know that that's not very far away, even though it's 2 different countries. DAR, you just go in to, when I remember in the first video how I stated that I knew that another application that was approved that we shared lineage. This is how I found it out. You go into the genealogical research system, you look up an ancestor, you do the last name, or at least I do the last name, and then I do the state of service if I know it, and do a search, and it comes up. And here's Melchior. And then you go into their ancestor record, and then it will list some. Here is Matthias. I knew Matthias is my line, so I went ahead and purchased it to see what kind of proof they had for those for the shared lineage, because I was curious. Also, state archives, always look for them. Some of them have online collections as well as offline. US Gen Web, lots of misses, but you know, when you get a hit is a hit, and really, you know, how badly do you want that information? The next thing is the Old School Family Tree Resource Book for genealogists. I can't recommend it high enough. And I know a lot of people use the wiki at Family Search. Very helpful. Not the same information, not as much of the same information, really. And so I would say I use a hybrid of the two. The other thing, this is just an example of using Google. I had Googled Benjamin Vaughn, that was it. And this is what came up, and this happens to be a family website with endnotes and sources, which is kind of rare. So anyway, in a nutshell, that is kind of what I do, and I just toggle back and forth between Family Tree Maker and the person view with the tasks and the notes. And as I work, I make notes, and it can be tedious, I know, because it just is. But that's the way that I've decided to do it, because I'm going to keep it all in one system. So if you have any questions or suggestions, just let me know in comments, and especially if like you have experience in the areas that I'm researching, that would be awesome. This has been Caroline Pointer with ForYourFamilyStory.com. Thanks.